Right now, again, hello to every recording in progress. Thank you very much, Andreas, for helping me out with that. So we're gonna record the event here today. So for everybody who doesn't want to be recorded, you're fine if you want to switch off your video, your camera, and your name, and keep your incognito. That's also fine for us. It's mostly for internal use, the recording here. So again, welcome everybody to the second demo day of the Max-Planck Foundation. I don't want to introduce ourselves too much because it's all about the startups today, but I want to tell you a bit how the day or how the next 2 hours will work actually. But before I do this, a couple of words anyways to the Max-Planck Foundation, who's probably not everybody's familiar with the foundation and what we are doing. We as a foundation, main objective is to foster not only entrepreneurship, but to foster great science out of the Max-Planck Institutes. We do this a lot with private money. We have over 400 people that are so generous to give us a lot of money to be able to do so. I want to mention Jan Fischer. Jan Fischer is the one who's funding our venture project here, as I call it. And 2 years ago, we thought about not only fostering great science, but we want to have that great science also translated into innovations. That's why we're here. And what we saw at that point of time that the numbers of innovations out of Max Planck, out of the Max Planck Institutes, and the number of startups was not that high. It was mostly around 10 a year, and we thought the potential for more startups, it's much higher than 10 a year. So that's why we're here. And what the Max-Planck Foundation, especially our project here, is doing is we not only scouting great technologies and great people in Max-Planck society, we also help them to translate their ideas into great innovation through startups. And we strongly believe here that there's a responsibility alongside with great knowledge is to translate that knowledge into something useful for us as a society. And we do so by helping startups to come to life and generate innovations that might help us all in a way. So thanks for being here today. I also want to thank Mr. Pöllert, who started all of this, not only the foundation, but also our project. Jan Fischer, I mentioned already. And a special shout out goes to Max Planck Innovation, who is doing kind of the same within the Max Planck Society. And we jointly work together to keep going this venture. Yes, and the day will work in a way that they're going to be 8 teams who are going to present their ideas to you, right? And they're going to present it in 5 minutes only. And you might think that there might be time for some Q&As. There isn't today. So whenever you have some questions or comments left for the teams, please make notes or keep them in your mind. Later, after the last pitch of the 8th team, there are going to be breakout rooms for every team. So, and we would like you to join the rooms and give the feedback to the team you want to give feedback to, right? Or the comments. Or the money already. So be aware that the startups who are going to present are not all in the same phase. We have startups, we have startup projects, we have people who just started their idea, right? So please do not expect that every of these kind of startups or startup projects already have a great business model running or asking for growth investment. Not at all. Some might ask for additional support in which way or ever, getting industry knowledge, finding a co-founder, a CEO potentially, and something like that. So you're going to find startups in every of these phases here today. Okay. And please, to make this even more like a networking event, it would be great if you use your right name and rename probably yourself if it's not already happening here in the Zoom call. And please also try to put in the organization you represent here today. You can do this easily while going with your cursor over the Zoom window and then go to participants, or in German Teilnehmer, and then you scroll down probably to your name. And then you find the possibility to change your name or rename yourself and put the organization you represent also behind your name. That would be very helpful for the networking here. And this event is all about networking here right now. So I joined this project actually because like I believe there's like great potential, and it's great to be part of this. And you're going to be part of this here today. This is our legacy, for at least for the next 2 hours here, to join together as a team, as a big team, actually, to help at least these 8 startups to take it to the next level. And you have so much knowledge. You have access to networks the startups don't have to. You have access to potential customers or to investments, and probably that the startups don't have. So please understand or consider yourself as part of the team today. And keep in mind, there are not direct Q&As after the 5-minute pitches. Please keep your notes and comments and questions and offers back after the eighth pitch. We're going to have the breakout rooms, and then you're good to go. There will be no like official ending of today, right? Right after the last pitch, you will go into the rooms, and the rooms are open for like an hour or an hour and a half, like how long the startups actually want to. And then you're happy to go there. You can jump from room to room. You can ask us also if you don't find how to do this. We're happy here to help you. So let's go for it. Before we start, we have a bit of a keynote, like 10 or 15 minutes, from some scientific founder out of the Max-Planck Society that we haven't helped actually to found his startup. Nevertheless, he can give us like a special insight of what it means to become an entrepreneur out of science. And I would like to give the word to Matthias Budden here right now. Matthias, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks.
Great to have you. Are you able? Do you have slides or something like that? I'm sorry,
Yes, I have slides, and it tells me I think you have to allow me to share the screen.
You should be able right now to put up your slides here.
Yes.
So thanks that you're going to be here, and thanks for your keynote here. I'm looking very much forward to you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm actually happy to give this talk in the framework of the Max-Planck Foundation, since my journey also started at Max-Planck, and also for the foundation at Max-Planck, I was giving some lab tours already, so that was already a first contact there. But before diving into the details, I want to show you a picture of an everyday phenomenon that you will all know, and that always reminded me of what we did in the lab and also during the process of founding a startup. So what you see here are 2 photographs of sand, one at the beach and one in the desert, where surprisingly regular patterns are forming just because there is some wind coming from one direction, or in the other case, because of the oscillatory movement of water. So wind and water basically drive this system out of equilibrium, and the interplay with friction between these sand grains leads to this macroscopic long-range order. And of course, scientists analyzed this phenomenon and found out that depending on the velocity component, a multitude of different patterns, such as symmetric and asymmetric ripples and dunes, can evolve. And that's actually quite similar to what we did in the lab, except that we didn't use wind and water, but a laser beam, which we used to shake the molecules of a certain material in a very special way so that new materials properties emerge. So this was really basic research in which we could show that the light can create very special states of matter that don't have any electrical resistance, which is called a superconductor. And this, of course, can in the future be very helpful for many applications, from quantum computing to levitational transport, for example. But sometimes I feel that the underlying principle that this focused energy can turn a non-ordered, chaotic situation into something beautifully ordered is true in many situations, and also especially when founding a company. So as you said, I'm Matthias. I'm a physicist and a co-founder of WiredSense in Hamburg. And this is actually an aerial view of the DESI research campus, where you can also guess this particle accelerator ring. And the research I was just describing was done in this building, which is the Max-Planck Institute for Structure and Dynamics of Matter. So we founded WiredSense initially as a side project to our research. But last year, we actually could start working full time on our project and basically moved next door. And Google Maps actually still doesn't show anything at that place. But in fact, there's now this brand new Startup Labs Bahrenfeld building. So if you're in Hamburg and you wanna take a look, that's actually there. You're always welcome to pass by for a lab tour and a coffee. So as I said, me and my co-founder are both scientists, and this is actually a view into the experiment in our lab. And we started our project initially on a part-time basis. And that had several reasons. We liked research a lot, but at the same time, we wanted to do something more applied that is directly solving a problem for someone. And we both liked also the idea of being self-employed and to start our projects on our own. So really, we had in the beginning a big list of ideas what could be a good side project. But of course, there are some boundary conditions on founding in part-time. And the most important constraint of all of this is time. Because in parallel to a main job, there may be about 3 hours left per day. So therefore, we thought starting in an area where you already have a good knowledge is an advantage. And also the product shouldn't be too complex so that you can bring it to market within a reasonable time. It should also be an existing, but not too large market so that you can serve it within a side project. And also finances are an important point because it's difficult to get funding for a project in part-time. So you're limited to projects which you can afford privately. And it turned out that there was a problem we had at our work that was fitting perfectly to all those factors. Because in our research, we were working mainly with infrared and terahertz radiation, which can be difficult because unlike in this picture, it's invisible and it's also often super weak. And therefore, it's important to have a measurement device for that. And at that time, there was just not a practical solution for this problem. So we said, okay, let's tackle that. Fast forward, this is the product we built. It's a compact, very sensitive detector that we could easily fit into our optical assemblies. And it's very sensitive. We once calculated it can detect the heat of the candle, so not the light, the heat, in a distance of 100 meters. And that 100,000 times a second. But of course, in the beginning, it didn't look at all like this, but rather like that. So it was a typical science prototype. However, it was working, and then the word was spreading that we had a much easier way to align our lasers. And soon we got inquiries from colleagues like, can you build us one of your detectors? And we said, yeah, sure. Here you have the plan. You can build it yourself. But it turned out nobody really wanted to build a detector. They rather just wanted to get it somewhere. And at that point, we really said, okay, well, should we maybe found a company on the side to bring this to the market? We are the experts on this technology. It's a niche market to start, not expensive, so great. And then with that, immediately the founding bureaucracy started. So the first problem we had to tackle in our case was the so-called Abnervg. So all non-German speakers, the middle part of this law literally means annoying. So what a coincidence. Anyway, this law is dealing with inventions that are made in the context of a paid job, and it resolves a clash of two laws. At first, there is the labor law. According to that, an employee gives work to an employer and gets a payment as a compensation. And then there is the law of inventions, according to which an invention belongs to its inventor in the first place. So when an invention is made at work, there are now basically two options. Either the employee wants to use that invention, and then he must compensate the employee, for example, if he earns money through a license, or the second is the employer sets the invention free. So the employee can make whatever he wants with it. And in our case, we got really great support by the director of our Max-Planck Institute. He wanted to support us. He said, okay, this is your side project. You did this in the evenings. I want to support you. And he set this idea free. So we could go on after, like, I don't know, 2-3 months, we could go on. And the next step then for us was secondary employment, because in principle, the employee has to ask its employer, and the employer normally has to be fine with a secondary job as long as his legitimate interests are respected. So, for example, you shouldn't be always tired at work because...
Im Hintergrund was hören. Ich bin in einem Call, aber ich kann Ihnen zuhören.
Vielleicht, Entschuldigung, wenn ich ganz kurz reinhaken darf, maybe all participants go on mute. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be, for example, tired at work because you worked all night. So that's a legitimate interest. As long as you fulfill that, should be fine. But also then it's a different story because we wanted to be like CEO of a company, and that to be in part-time is maybe a different story. There, the Max-Planck administration actually was of great help because then they figured out how we could do this together, and it all worked out. It just took like 2 or 3 months more again. Yeah, and then the next step was the decision on which form of company is suitable to found. And there I would really suggest to take also a lawyer into the round, especially when building this contracts for, in our case, it was a GmbH. And one thing super important to consider is also the founding date. It's very important because that's the date when the clock is ticking for funding, because there's funding that you can only apply for before you found it. Then that is only valid if you are less than 3 years or less than 5 years. So this is really an important date. Then you need a registered address, which could be a problem if you are living in a flat. We could register here on the campus, a tax consultancy. And with all this, actually, in our case, the DESI Startup Office and BO Pilot Program were really helpful. And I think by now also the Max-Planck Innovation and Max-Planck Foundation, they have support in that area for founders, helping with the problems, especially scientists are not confronted so often in their normal day business before. So after all this legal bureaucracy is done, let's focus on the hardware. Although it might be a fully functional prototype, it's certainly not a product you could sell. So the way towards a product is a route that in research we normally don't do so much, and it involves quite some steps that we were also not fully aware of before starting our evening project. So even for this simple and small product, there are quite some steps involved to get it done. And since time was our strongest boundary condition, it's not possible to do the manufacturing, for example, ourselves in the evening. But luckily, manufacturing of hardware is not as hard anymore as it was some years ago, since many of these processes are already digitized. And that's why external partners are key and super important. So we did the prototyping fully internally, but all the manufacturing externally, so had high quality and also a scalable process in the end. So we only do the final testing and assembly, and all the other steps are outside. So does it make sense to found a startup on the site? Let's start with the arguments against it. Of course, compared to a full-time project, the progress is much slower. Sometimes it feels like a thing that should be solved in a day, takes much longer. There's almost no external funding available because most funding programs require at least one person committing full time, or you get programs like you get $500,000 when you bring $500,000, which is obviously not feasible at the beginning. So usually you have to start with very little money. Also, customer acquisition is difficult because they usually don't work when you are working on the project in the evening. And unfortunately, bureaucracy that is involved is for some processes the same, no matter if you do it full time or on the side. For example, this holds for the funding process, also for the tax declaration. And the last, the most severe point is having these 2 jobs is really reducing the amount of free time. So it has to be a project that you really like. But I want to switch also to the positive point of view, because there are quite a few good things about such a project. First, you can test an idea before committing to it in full time, which also means you don't have to quit your current job. And in our case, we both liked research and could finish our research project. The operational costs for a side project are quite small. That's mainly because you don't have to pay your salary. You also don't need to rent office space. When you do this from home, you have all these digital tools that help to keep the project really lean. So this can compensate the drawback of little or no funding. In the startup world, you also often read these kind of statements, 90% of startups fail, which is a bit depressing and sounds like founding is mostly a bad idea. But there's actually quite some research that hybrid entrepreneurship in parallel to a day job has a higher survival rate. And because the idea is better evaluated before committing to it, and therefore the risk of failure is lowered. And actually this narrative that successful founders have to risk everything and go all in right away is not necessarily true, I think, because in fact, even people with huge success like Steve Wozniak from Apple, Henry Ford, or the eBay founder, Pierre Omidyar, started their business in part-time. So this plays a bit of a different story, I think. Another advantage is not only bureaucracy, but also some timescales are difficult or expensive to influence, independent of whether you do it full or part-time on the project. For example, the Google listing, either you pay a lot of money or to arrive at the first page, or you wait and produce content. And so it's quite good to slowly build reputation within this algorithm over time already. And finally, and most important, it's a really good experience, and one can learn a lot in very different areas, and you can also get lots of help from people. So all in all, I think our, of course, biased opinion is it's well worth trying. So where are we now with WiredSense? We founded the company in 2018, have by now 3 detector projects on the market. The red one is much faster than the third one is in vacuum compatible, and it's being used inside the particle accelerators. By now we sell these detectors worldwide through our online store and via distributors. And in February 21, we won a public funding through the IFB Hamburg that allowed us to start working in full time and to start a new project that is based on our detectors. And to slowly transfer into the pitching session, I would like to use the last 3 minutes or so to give you a brief flash of what we are working on right now. So the chemical composition of the substance is critical in a wide range of industries, for example, for drugs and pharma, or for process parameters and quality control in biotech and recycling, and even for health tests. While visually, many substances look confusingly similar, like this white powder, in the infrared spectral range, almost all materials have a very characteristic absorption of the light that's like a molecular fingerprint for the chemical composition. And that's why infrared spectroscopy is a great tool to identify substances. But unfortunately, you typically still need a lab and quite expensive equipment, a reference database of these chemical fingerprints that are proprietary and costly, and trained experts for the data analysis. And we thought, wouldn't it be possible to simplify this whole process? And that's exactly why we built Sweep, a compact and cost-effective optical analyzer that allows anyone to determine the chemical composition of liquids and solids in seconds and without the lab. And Sweep is actually pretty easy to use. You just apply a droplet of liquid or some solid material on this measurement surface, and within seconds, our cloud-based analysis service checks the data and generates a detailed report for the customer. At the core of Sweep are 2 actually by now patent pending innovations. At first, a very special optics design that can be manufactured cost effectively. And then the detector you already know for infrared radiation, that's about 100 times faster than the industry standard at a very high detectivity. And this, as you know, we sell already to research labs. But selling the hardware of Sweep at a very competitive price, starting at €6,500, is only the base of our business model. Through the cloud connection of our instruments, we enable every user to contribute to a database of chemical fingerprints like Wikipedia, but for spectroscopy. And based on this growing open database, we will offer subscriptions for specific analysis algorithms that directly provide our customers from the raw data the information they really need, like the quality or composition of the material. We will enter the market next year with pharmacies, but already have first pilot projects in biotech, the chemical industry, for example, for oil analysis and recycling of plastics. And on the long run, we really want to bring the power of infrared spectroscopy also in the healthcare market. By now we have a fully functional prototype that we already tested with several pharmacies that also want to buy it. And as a next step, we are looking for funding to bring it to market next year. We are a team of 6 people by now, scientists and software developers with experience in optics, electronics, machine learning, project management. My co-founder also has a business background. With that, I hope I could convince you that the exciting times of infrared spectroscopy are still to come and just about to begin. As said, we are actually looking for our seed funding round. So if you like the idea, we're also happy for your support. And with that, I hope I could share some of the insights of our funding process, and I will be around also in the breakout rooms afterwards and look forward to your questions there. Thank you very much.
So, Matthias, thank you very much. And next to having a great keynote was that you're pitching your idea. So I like that a lot. That's what I always tell our startups: at any possible occasion, try to sell what you're doing. So to all of you, if you want to give like Matthias feedback to his pitch or to his keynote, or you want to buy like one of his 3 products immediately, go to his room afterwards after the last pitch. And the name of the rooms will be named after the startup. So you find Matthias in the WiredSense room afterwards. So, and please keep in mind, the value of today, of this event, is your feedback, your insights, and your knowledge for the startups that are going to present here right now. So please stay until the last pitch is done, then go to the breakout rooms and chat with the teams. That's the value of today. I hope you're going to do this. I hope you're going to join. If you want to learn more about the Max-Planck Foundation, we will also be available after the pitches. If we want to know more about our project, we're going to tell you if you want to. If you want to join our project, that's also going to be great. Would like to chat with you about that. So let's start right now here with Gefera Health. And please keep in mind to mute your microphones, not those who are going to present, but the rest of you. That would be great. Gefera Health, are you here to present?
Yes, I am.
So the stage is yours. Go for it.
Okay. I can share my screen, right?
Yes, should work.
Okay, let me start the presentation. Yeah, do everyone see the slides properly?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So, hello everyone. I'm Mark from Gefera Health, and today I'm going to talk about an increasingly important issue in our lives, mental health. What is the damage of mental illnesses to the world? I can give you three numbers: 15%, 12 billion days, and $1 trillion US. That is 15% of the working population suffering from mental illnesses every year. 12 billion working days are wasted every year, and $1 trillion US are lost every year. Not to mention that COVID made it worse with long-term effects on mental health as well. According to WHO this year, COVID pandemic triggered a 25% increase in prevalence of anxiety and depression worldwide. So at Gefera Health, we're aiming at reducing the damage of mental illnesses through cutting-edge AI technologies. Built on years of experience and expertise in the field of AI in mental health, we have products ranging from machine learning development software, clinical AI application platform, to patented clinical diagnostic tools. And today, I'm proud to present our latest product, ELSA. To understand what ELSA does, let's take a look at the mental health treatment today. So in Germany, on average, people have to wait for more than 6 weeks for their first assessment and more than 5 months for their first therapy session. As a result, risk of symptom chronification increases and subsequently making the patients harder to treat, and more time is required for recovery. And that's not good enough, and we can make it better. Let me explain why. Team Gefera Health combines the optimal expertise and experiences for creating the better solution. I'm a full-stack machine learning engineer with 4 years of experience in developing and applying AI tools for multiple mental illnesses. My partner, Nikos, is a pioneer in applying AI in mental illnesses with 18 years of clinical expertise and 16 years of research experiences. Now, without further ado, let me show you how ELSA works with a video demo. So imagine your first consultation appointment is still a month away. Instead of waiting and letting your anxiety get the best of you, you can just grab your smartphone, fill in a simple questionnaire, and through our state-of-the-art self-explaining AI algorithm, ELSA can identify and quantify your personal mental health influencing factors in just a few seconds. With this information in hand, you and the therapist can get a glance of your mental health related issues even before the consultation, which could greatly accelerate the therapy progress. Aside from that, personalized mental health solutions can be offered meanwhile you're waiting for your appointments as well. So ELSA essentially can give the patients a head start on protecting their mental well-being. So who can benefit from ELSA? Firstly, the patients get insights about their mental health issues, bypassing the waiting time, and get started with a personalized action plan for improving their mental health straight away. Then, ELSA can assist therapists and psychiatrists in diagnosing and treating patients. For psychiatrists, ELSA can accelerate their diagnosis and increase patient turnover. Thirdly, for online teletherapy platforms and coaching platforms, ELSA can provide an easy way to achieve client stratification, better client acquisition, and offer more targeted services. And lastly, for the health insurance companies, this can reduce the overall cost per patient as a result of the benefits from all the other stakeholders. ELSA has 4 unique advantages. 1, it is evidence-based. Our machine learning algorithm is trained on data from 12,000 people. 2, it can quantify personal mental health influencing factors and provide priorities. 3, it can offer flexible, personalized solutions aside from therapy. And 4, it is simple, versatile, and can be easily integrated into different existing services already. Currently, ELSA is deployed in the psychiatric clinic of LMU in Munich for further validation, and future deployment in Italy, Brazil, Ethiopia, and Colombia are in preparation. We believe that with ELSA, we can optimize mental health services for all stakeholders. Feel free to come and talk to us in our breakout room, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gefera Health. We go right to Biometric. You're going to be the next one. Biometric, are you ready to go?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Perfect. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I would like to introduce you to our startup Biometric. We are from the Max-Planck Institute of Psychiatry in Munich, and what we offer are mental health apps that deliver precision therapy based on physiological data monitoring on your wrist, so with the help of a smartwatch. With our first product, we are focusing on depression. Why? Because depression is one of the most difficult health challenges worldwide. To give you a number, alone in Germany, more than 5 million people suffer from depression each year. Given this big number, it is little surprising that health systems are collapsing with depression, not only in Germany, but worldwide. So people are waiting up to 9 months for a psychotherapist appointment in Germany. That was what we also heard from Mark. To fill this gap, clinicians and researchers have developed online interventions that that you will find as DIGAs on the market. So DIGA stands for digitale Gesundheitsanwendung. But the problem with the DIGAs is those are no fancy smartphone applications, as you may probably think now. No, those are desktop programs. Well, when you look at this picture, do you think depressed patients want to sit in front of a computer to complete a training of 1.5 hours per week? Probably not. And even if they do so, do you think they stick to a training if the training doesn't fit their personal needs? Because the DIGAs on the market offer standard tracks for all of their users, even though depression is a very, very complex disorder with more than 100 different phases. There are 11 different symptoms that patients can have, and the paradox of it is that some of these symptoms can go into completely opposite directions. For example, there are patients who sleep a lot while others don't sleep at all. There are patients who have increased appetite while others don't eat at all. There are patients who overcompensate their feelings with sports while others stay at home all day. Last but not least, to develop personalized treatments, which is a goal out of this, we need to measure symptoms profiles precisely, and this in the best case, not only on the basis of questionnaire, but on the basis of objective data like physiological and behavioral data. So with all of these problems in mind, we have to develop new interventions that meet the following requirements. An intervention that is scalable, affordable, and comes just in time, that keeps patients' motivation to treatment high, that adapts to patients' personal needs, and that measures symptoms precisely. And luckily, this is exactly what we do with Biometric. So what we deliver is an online intervention on the smartphone, so not on a desktop, with various treatment tracks and symptom monitoring based on psychophysiological data. So not just on questionnaire data. So what we develop is one of the first therapy applications in psychiatry, sorry, based on the objective data. And this is how it works. The smartwatch continuously monitors physiological and subjective data, which is then analyzed on the smartphone in order to visualize the patient progress and give feedback to the patient, and of course, to deliver a treatment track that is adapted to patients' personal needs. So as market entry, we want to enter the German DiGA market. The DiGA market is a growing market as more and more clinicians are willing to prescribe DiGAs, and we can address this market better than other DiGAs because what we deliver is objective data monitoring and a solution that focuses on the main problem of other DiGAs, which is to keep patients' motivation to therapy high. And this is something that not only we know, but also the doctors know that this is a problem of other DiGAs. So who stands behind Biometric? We are a team of 3 people. It's Victor, Marcus, and me, and we bring a unique background out of the field of clinical trials, of psychophysiological data analysis, and also from the industry sector. We have already developed an MVP of our product and have just started with the development of our final product together with a talented agency of software engineers from Hamburg. In March, we will start with our clinical trial and are planning to launch our DiGA in Q4 next year. So what we are currently looking for is long-term investors, best with connections to health insurances. So we are happy to meet you after the pitch, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Great pitch. So the next team will be EndoSearch. EndoSearch, are you ready?
We are.
Great. So take the stage, please. Biometric, could you stop the slideshow for us? Then the other team can put up their slides. Okay, thanks a lot, Jenna.
Okay. All right, I assume everyone can see this. So hi, everyone. My name is Martin Phelan. I'm speaking on behalf of EndoSearch. We're extending surgeon capability and improving patient outcomes. I'm joined today by my core team. This is Alp and Dr. Yanuza, who are specialized in small-scale robot design and material science. We're scientifically advised by Professor Sitti, the managing director at the Intelligent Systems in Stuttgart, as well as Dr. Philip Pajowski and Dr. Varun Sridhar, who are coming from industry and specialized in material science as well. So I'm going to talk about the current situation in minimally invasive surgery. The #1 leading cause of death worldwide is contributed to cardiovascular diseases. This is 17.9 million deaths annually as of 2017. 300 million major surgeries are performed worldwide. That's 5% of the world population. 22 million are in Europe and 40 million are in the US. Now, the current status quo for minimally invasive surgery is angio or CT image-guided intervention. These systems, however, are inducing ionizing radiation, which is harmful to pregnant women and especially children. Also, the tools available to surgeons cannot access deeper regions of the anatomy, such as within neurovascular applications. Also, these systems provide minimal, next to no physiological information. However, the gold standard for cardiovascular imaging is cardiac MRI. So why not use it? Well, we don't have MR-compatible tools that can intervene in such systems. Additionally, there's limited access to a patient to intervene. Additionally, MR imaging is slow and expensive. And again, we don't have tools that can access deep regions of the anatomy. Now, currently the market is set to ArmorCore and Marbus, who provide MR-compatible tools, which are radiation-free and provide real-time monitoring solutions, but they have limited remote controllability and there's no robotic components. So that's the solution that EndoSearch provides. We provide a steerable catheter with a remote insertion platform and additional hardware and a user interface, enabling the surgeon to remotely control the entire system within an MR. We've developed our first prototype, which is scalable down to 1 millimeter for neurovascular applications, but can be scaled back up for cardiovascular diseases. What I want to highlight here is that this is the first MR-compatible robotic catheterization tool. So surgeons can now perform a cardiac catheterization remote. The value proposition that we're offering is an MR-compatible catheterization tool. This provides for remote ergonomic control for a surgeon with high accuracy. Additionally, this system is modular, so we can extend to other applications. So as I just stated, right now we're targeting cardiovascular diseases. But down the road, we expect to treat specific conditions such as cancer, from prostate to breast to lung, and ultimately neurovascular applications such as Alzheimer's or deep brain stimulation. Our target market right now is cardiovascular diseases, which cost the EU $210 billion per year and $229 billion in the US. Now, the cardiovascular catheter space is $13.5 billion. If we boil that down to cardiac ablation catheters, it's a $3 billion market. So we expect to occupy 4% of that market, which contributes $120 million that we could potentially acquire. We've done some preliminary customer discovery. We've conducted surveys worldwide to different hospitals, from Toronto Hospital, Harvard Medical School, and Charité. We've spoken to interventional radiologists, medical device consultants, and ER surgeons, and we've heard the same story over and over again. We do not have MR-compatible tools, so we wouldn't use it. We cannot reach the patient. Imaging is slow under MR, and can you make it remote if you were to create such a system? So we showed them the prototype, specifically University Clinic of Freiburg. So you can see here, this is an interventional cardiologist demonstrating the first use case of the device. And his first comment was, "Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before." So he likes the ability to use a joystick and remotely control the device in the actual imaging device. Our business model that we intend to incorporate is that we're offering a cardiovascular catheter with support hardware and software for interfacing with the MR. We intend to lease the hardware, the software, and additional upgrades for further applications. We offer training centers and service contracts on site and online to meet our sales revenue model. In terms of the sales revenue, we've analyzed our fixed costs for marketing, rent, and personnel, and determine on a monthly basis the minimum sales that we would need to meet such requirements. In terms of competitor analysis, there's two major direct competitors, AIM Medical Robotics and Machnet. AIM specifically targets neurovascular applications. Machnet targets prostate intervention. These systems provide an MR-compatible robotic tool for steering needles, however. It's remotely controllable and it's highly accurate. But like I said, this is not steerable, it's not modular like our system, and you cannot add additional functionalities. We envision potential competitors down the road, leading catheter companies such as Boston Scientific, Stryker, Medtronic. These could be potential competitors or perhaps collaborators. In terms of financial projections, over the next few years, we expect to conduct in vivo testing, conducting initial animal trials. We expect a high number of hiring of staff, as well as external funding to cover such personnel costs. By ultimately 2032, we are going to be entering clinical trials to abide by certain regulatory ISO standards for implementing such kinds of devices.
Excuse me, Martin, for interrupt. Please come to an end slowly.
Yes, so our action plan over the next year is that we will be refining the device, conducting initial in vivo testing, and integrating the device for in vivo testing. We expect by 2024 to begin our first human clinical trials. Today, we are seeking 500,000 euro for personnel costs and 480,000 for material costs. So we're going to be over the next 2 years heavy on the R&D side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great.
Thank you, Martin, for your pitch. So I hope all of you still have some stamina to listen to a couple of more startups. So we're going to have like 2 more before we have a bit of a break, and then 4 more. So it sums up to 9, not as I said before 8. So we want to have 9 teams. So the next team will be NeuroCG, right? Are you there?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
Let
Stage is yours.
screen.
Okay, here you go.
Presentation mode. Do you see it in presentation mode or?
Yes, great.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, hi everybody. I am going to present Near CG, which aims to revolutionize the gaming market using artificial intelligence. So if we look at the evolution of FIFA, one of the most known game over the past decade, we see that they had been steadily improving their quality, but even the 2022 quality seems like easily distinguishable from a real picture. So what we intend to do is convert something that is state of the art now to the one on the right, which basically where you cannot see the difference from a real photograph. And is that important? Turns out it is indeed. So we made a participant study, 600 people participated in it from all over the world, and 72% of them say that the current graphics lack realism that kind of interrupts their experience, and 79% of them say that faces are the biggest giveaway. So whole body, other things that are good enough but not faces, and they are ready to give out 18% or 18.7% of the game's total revenue if we make this more realistic. And to put that in perspective, that would generate already $143 million worth of revenue if we got FIFA alone. And now let me show you the state of the art. So here's MetaHuman from Unreal Engine. That's Epic Games rendering engine. And these look very realistic. All I have to say here is that these are, however, products of very skilled and trained artists working on them for weeks. And therefore, those are the only models that look that good. So what happens if we try to use that exact same tool to build my own avatar? And that's what we get. And as you can tell, that looks a little bit different than what I look. The beard, for example, is much shorter than I like beard. And this comes from the fact that there's very limited variability. Although it looks a lot when you see the demo of their platform, it's very limited when it comes to building a character that you like the look of. And then let me introduce a team which set out to change that. And here's Victoria. She is a postdoc with our group that is Perceiving Systems in Max-Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems, Michael Black's group. She was a PhD in India, focusing on human faces, understanding them, inferring them, making realistic rendering, etc. So she has over 10 years of experience on this domain. And myself, I recently graduated from also Michael Black's group, Max-Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems. I got my master's from ETH Zurich. And then finally, Valentina, she is our finance guru. She owns already 2 startups in Colombia and is taking care of our business and finances side. So with that, we built a product which converts this thing that you remember from before that was created using MetaHuman, which has my face geometry exactly set using special tools, but still looks not realistic to something like that. And we promise to build a quality which can be delivered, which matches the one on the right. Okay, the kind of qualities that we are going to deliver, or like values that we are going to deliver in a B2B setting are those. To our customers, we are going to boost productivity because our product does not require skilled or artistic skills at all. That is going to generate lower development cost and faster development. So both of them contributing to the cost. And finally, it gives an entitlement to using cutting-edge AI technology for the game developers. And this translates to vivid realism for the end customer, so the game players. It also is going to reduce repetitiveness of game characters and provide better consumption. I want to highlight that there's a very healthy growth rate to the game engine market, and that there is multiple billions to be made. We already have signed 4 letters of intent for co-creation and first customers, and have achieved first funding. So we're not looking for funding yet. So with that, let me give you a small product schedule. In 2021, we had the idea. In 2022, we are grounding a business model around it and building a team. In 2023, we would have our product validation with the first validated product and co-founder, a co-creator. And in 2024, or we would like to see the exponential growth automated and mechanized. Finally, here's our call for action. If you are interested in this product, please drop by our breakout session room, talk to us, give us your advice, and make our position strengthened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Partha. That was quite well in time. Thank you for that too. So the next theme before we do a 5-minute break would be Flex Power. Flex Power, are you here?
Yes, here I am. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Payam. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Payam Hashim, and I'm presenting you Project Flex Power, energy storage device for wearable and IoT devices of the future. So by having a quick look at this market, we can see that the number of devices, electronic devices that are connected to IoT devices is increasing rapidly, around 10 to 20 times fold over the following decade. And all of these electronic devices require some sort of energy storage device, and there is a high demand for them to be thinner, more flexible, and lighter, so that they can be applied for wearable and portable devices. The most common product in the market that we all know is the lithium-ion batteries currently as energy storage device, and it has some shortcomings. For example, it is mined under very unethical conditions, and it consists of critical raw materials. It has also there is a danger of fire and explosion coming with it, and it produces a lot of e-waste each year, which is almost impossible to recycle, or there is a high recycling effort, therefore it's not recycled. And it also has some restrictions as air cargo, and it causes problems for the manufacturers to ship their products by air cargo, and also they have to pay extra for the required precautions for transportation of these devices. The solution to this is our product, Flex Power, which is an all-printed water-based supercapacitor. It is safe, sustainable, flexible, and aesthetic. And here are the unique selling points of our product. It is water-based, therefore it is safe, and it is composed of sustainable materials. It is more than 95% recyclable. It is flexible, it's not flammable, it's not explosive, and it has a possibility of monolithic integration, and it has excellent performance in comparison to what is there in the market. And on the right side, you can see the front view and the side view, and this is the thickness of this device. From the side view, it's less than 1 millimeter. And the key innovation is are actually two points. The material itself, which is a water dispersible graphene-based electrode active material, which allows us to use water system on this supercapacitor. And the other one is the novel design of this device, which allows screen printing of all the layers. So it's just layers are printed on top of each other to make this device. The IP is protected by 3 patents, and 2 patents we're planning to file soon, by the end of this year, hopefully. The business model, it's a very simple illustration of it, and it's very simple actually. We produce energy storage devices, and we directly sell them to the manufacturers of IoT, wearable electronic, RFID, smart cards, etc. And we also provide on-demand consultation and customization services for our customers, so that they can benefit from a customized product for their targeted applications. The growth plan is to develop prototypes for emerging applications, because every other day there's coming a new application that we have not even heard of, but the specifications of our product meets those requirements and it can be applied to those. So we're trying to reach out to collaborators and partners engaged in those kind of applications to try to develop prototypes and then also demonstrate it for other potential users. And we are also working on the next step. We're working on also a water-based, rechargeable, thin, flexible, all-printed zinc-ion battery. We're trying to work on the IP protection of this one at the moment. So we will have another product in our arsenal later. Currently, we have 3 industrial users, pilot users. They have tested our prototypes and they have given us positive feedback, and they used it for smart clothes and smart patches. And yeah, the average demand per customer is 1 million units per year for a unit price of 15 to 50 euro. And the competition in the market is mainly coming from lithium-ion batteries, non-rechargeable zinc-ion batteries or primary batteries, and organic solvent-based supercapacitor. Flex Power is safer and more sustainable than lithium-ion batteries. It is rechargeable and it is not toxic, not flammable, and it's cheaper than organic solvent-based. So in here you can see to compare also the performance of Flex Power with this US model and this Japanese supercapacitor. These are not flexible at all, so it's kind of not a real good comparison. But anyway, we can see that these are organic based and this one is water based. These are toxic flammable. Flex Power is not. And the voltage window you can see, and also the performance that we can see that the performance of the Flex Power is more than this while it's being a little bit thinner. And so it means it has better performance while it has a lot of additional features like safety, sustainability, and being cheap. The team, the core team is 4 of us. Ali, our CEO, Ali Shaigania, he's currently at the exhibition in Frankfurt in Light. It's one of the largest exhibitions in Europe for energy sector. Florian, and he's our businessman. And Davut is our chief process officer, and I'm the CTO of the company. Okay, and that's it from me. These are testimonials from some of our customers that are potential customers that have tried our prototypes and given us kind feedbacks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Payam. So I already find it very inspiring what we just heard from 5 teams. So we're going to have a bit of a break right now to refresh ourselves a bit. So we're going to restart at directly on time, 5 minutes after 1 for everybody, right? And then we're going to start with Harmonize. Then we're going to have like 4 more teams, and then we're going to have like the main event of today is the breakout rooms and your feedback. So thanks for staying here. Thanks for your stamina. In 5 minutes from now, we're going to move on with the next team. Thanks. See you in 5 minutes. It's not until 1:10. We reduce it to 5 minutes, I believe. That would be better.
Good.
So yes, recording is also in progress. Thanks, Andreas. Harmonize set up their slides already, I believe. So Harmonize would be the next team to present themselves. Hope everybody is back and a bit refreshed and ready to go for the next 4 teams. Harmonize, are you ready to go? I see your slides, but I don't hear anybody talking.
Yes, sorry.
All right. Paulina, you're there. Okay, the stage is yours.
Okay. So, one mainly perceives food with the nose and tongue through the senses of smell and taste. Flavor is multifactorial. For example, alcoholic beverages have a specific taste that comes not only from the raw material, but also the distillation and maturation process. Even the water used affects the end product. Imagine how complicated it is for the industry to keep the exact same flavor you have come to know and love over the million of bottles that are produced. Nowadays, the quality and design of flavor is done by people. Whether they are called master blenders, master brewers, or tasting panels, they all have something in common. They're human. And not just regular humans, but ones that have a very sensitive sense of smell and carry specific lifestyle, since they can't risk to alter or damage their senses. No matter how hurtful they are, this approach will always be subjective. Now, if you consider that customer loyalty is a result of a consistent, satisfactory experience that leads people to favor one brand over the other, and that 90% of new products fail because of the deficiency in customer acceptance, is it really sustainable to keep on investing on a subjective measurement? Well, the answer is no. To solve this problem, we have created a flavor engineering platform. By using biotech methods, we're able to identify the patterns responsible for flavor. Using this data, we train the artificial intelligence to deliver a tool. So it's really science as a service. With our platform, you're able to manage flavor in an objective, unbiased, and fast manner. So you can access your flavor library, review and compare samples, digitally design flavors, predict formulations, or aid in reformulations in just one click. The need for understanding flavor is nothing new. The real innovation comes from our way of tackling the problem. It is because of the background of the founders with bioinformatics, biology, food chemistry, and programming that makes us one of a kind. We base the analysis on the nature of your sample. Nothing is a supposition. The food industry is immense, and therefore many are creatively trying to manage flavor. We have Notco, a Chilean unicorn that uses AI to predict formulations. Aeromix, an American startup based on a cell approach. And Arabelle, a French company that mimics olfactory systems, amongst others. So far, we started developing the platform together with a Bavarian whiskey brand, Schleers. And we have continued to do so with another distillery, Vigant Manufacture. This is our proof of concept, but the potential and end goal of the project is to be able to identify the pattern in animal-based foods and reproduce them in a plant-based diet. We started Harmonize thanks to Exist and focus on our proof of concept, which is whiskey. By the way, we chose this because of the process and the easiness to handle, not just because everyone loves it, but I can say it hasn't helped. We plan to keep with alcoholic beverages, then move to more complex substances until we reach the end goal, that is solid foods. We are looking for investment of 3.2 million euros for 24 months in return of 20% equity. This money will be used to acquire a mass spectrometer, HPLC, and set up a proper lab facility in order for us to be able to scale the analysis into oils and proteins. For all this data, we also need servers, cloud, and IT infrastructure. Of course, the machines can't run alone. Therefore, we also need employees, lab specialists, programmers, and office space. This is a team that is using their expertise to make the world a flavorlicious place. 4 international scientists with different backgrounds that together are co-founding Harmonize. Invest in making the world a flavorlicious place. Thank you very much.
Thank you for making the world a flavorlicious place. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but it sounds very nice. So we already, thank you very much for your pitch. So we already heard a lot about whiskey. We heard about gaming, the new batteries, depression solutions. I like that a lot. So there's 3 more to come here. I'm very curious to know what we hear right now from Jimin. Jimin, are you ready? Are you there?
Hi, I'm off. I'm there. Hope you can hear me.
I can, at least.
Yeah, so if you can, all the other can too. So great. I will just share my screen.
Yes.
And here we go. Yeah, welcome to the gymming pitch deck. Very happy that we are here. I'm Alf Arnold, and I'm probably the only not scientist here in this call, because my background is entrepreneurship, branding, marketing, and I will guide gymming as the future CEO to the next level. With me in the call is Professor Dr. Thomas Fritz, and he's our scientist, founder, science officer, and evangelist of gymming. And I think he will be happy to answer all these questions, which will come up after the presentation. So what you see here is a person or an animal everybody knows. Our inner couch potato, the weaker self, the innerer Schweinehund, as the German says. And we have really to fight him because he is really annoying, and everybody knows that we were trying really hard to fight against him. We tried with pressure, being very tough, or maybe ignore him. If we can't ignore him, we will try to give ourselves rewards, nudges, or if we don't have a better idea, of course, music is a factor to fight him. And music, that's great. Everybody knows, everybody has its own music, and going running or going into a gym makes much more fun with music, and we can stay longer and feel better. But maybe there is something which is even stronger than just music. And well, this thing is gymming, because gymming is an instant music feedback. So the new thing is, you don't hear the music and move yourself and dance, for instance, but you dance and the music will change. So you are controlling the music. You are playing your music by your movements. And you don't have only the aspect that music is louder or quicker. It's just more music. It's instant music feedback. And well, this is something we have really proven. And there are a lot of publications for different indications on the healthcare sector. So this is no bullshit. We have really a very valid database. And now we are in a moment where we bring it out to a bigger public, a broader audience. So this really proven effect is a very fantastic effect if you are in a situation to create your own activity soundtrack. So then the experience of effort is really a positive feeling for you. And the good thing is that you don't have side effects, but more motivation and much more stamina compared to just listening to music. So all these studies are based on a group listening to music and another group having the gymming effect. So it's not gymming versus nothing. So we think really music is a worldwide topic. So our topic is a worldwide revolution in the interaction of motion and music. We see two major sectors to integrate gymming. So of course it's the fitness sector, and the other one is rehabilitation. So there's no not a random pick that the rehab picture is a bit larger than the fitness picture, because we already have a customer, and this customer is one of the market leaders. It's Terra Trainer, and we have currently a rollout on Terra Trainer with Terra Music. And there behind, there's a gymming platform technology, instant music feedback. So great thing, we have already recurring revenues and some project-based revenues, which we're quite proud of it. So talking about such a thing is one thing, but really experiencing is the other thing. And now, unfortunately, I'm afraid I forgot to share my audio channel. So I will just stop for a second the screen sharing and restart the screen sharing in a second with the audio. So where are we now? We should be. So, and this guy, I go a little bit forward. So hope you can hear the sound as I can hear the sound.
Yes, we can hear it.
Great. So this is the situation in a rehab. So he puts on his headset. And the faster he turns, more music. Okay, everybody's dancing now. Hey, very good player. So that's it. So that's how it works, and hope you can understand a little bit the feeling behind. So let's get back to the numbers. So our business model is a business to consumer licensing model. We have two major business lines, like the healthcare line, where the Terra Trainer and rehabilitation is included, and the fitness line, which we are calling JMove. On the other hand, we need some music, and we are partnering currently with Universal, which has a large song library we have to Geminize, so to make it, to adapt it for our needs. And we have, like, on the other hand, some great ideas to combine new products with that when we are thinking about on TikTok. On the third way for having a great song library is the creation of a creator platform where musicians and like musicians who want to adapt music for gymming can do this on a creator platform and even can have a profit from that. Then we have a special in our pipeline. It's not only software, it's even hardware. So we are developing a sensor for rubber bands especially. And of course, we have to protect our technology. So we have 2 patents for 3 applications and all already running. And like standard question, well, this great technology, what about competitors?
Sorry,
Yes.
if I may interrupt, maybe you can talk about this later in the breakout rooms, because we have to respect the time of it. I'm sorry.
That's correct. So these are the topics really for a breakout room. Thanks a lot for your patience. And so like the team, we will see later, and we're actually updating our finance. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
So, thanks a lot for presenting, Jimin. So that's another very special topic next to the others. So a lot of different topics happening here in the Max-Planck Society. Very, very interesting. So you're going to Geminize the world. You're going to tackle our inner Schweinehund or inner couch potato. That's a tough thing to do, I guess. So we're looking very much forward to your first product. So on the next, last but not least, 2 teams are coming up. So second last is Lucid Genomics here. Lucid Genomics, are you there to present?
Yeah, here.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, here now. Let's start.
Okay.
Okay, so we are Lucid Genomics, and we are mining undiscovered parts of the DNA. Right now, there is a genomic revolution happening. There are many new DNA sequence companies that just arrived into the game. And because of this competition, now we can first sequence 100% of any DNA. And then because of the competition, the price for sequencing is dropping from $1,000 to $100 in the coming years. Now genome sequence is now affordable. And then in the next years, we're going to have an exponential growth of data to be analyzed. And the bottleneck is only the interpretation. There's also change in the ecosystem in some countries like UK and US. Some babies, when they're born, they have already 100% of DNA sequence. And in Germany, there's a new law that from 2024, patients with genetic disease, they're going to get the whole genome sequence. However, even with 100% of the data, we are now doing a very inefficient process. We're just looking and analyzing mostly 2% of the DNA, which is called the coding part. Geneticists, they have been focused in the last decades in the coding part, and we know a lot about it. And because of that, patients with genetic disease, they can get up to 40% of them diagnosed. However, there's a huge majority of them, they lack a diagnosis even after many years of trying to find it. And this is because there's a huge part of the DNA, 98% of it, that we didn't understand for many years. And we call this the dark matter of the DNA. But we knew that inside there was some important information that could regulate the coding part. Right now, in the top tier institutes, as the Max-Planck Institute for Molecular Genetics, we are able to understand the dark matter of the DNA, what we call the non-coding part. And then this region is thought to achieve a huge fraction of these undiagnosed patients. So we have 100% of the DNA sequence and we cannot use it. What is our solution? Actually, we crack the code of the dark matter of the DNA. With that, we create a software that is capable of analyzing 100% of any given DNA sequence. And with that, we can boost the diagnostics rate for genetic disease. How does the software work? We started with our customers, research institutes. They get the data from the patients, they sequence the DNA, and they send us the data. So we get the sequence data, we process, we get the disease information. We have created a machine learning tool which predicts to detect the variants in the DNA, regardless their position better than the other tools. We analyze not only the coding part, but 100% of DNA sequence, and then we give actionable results. In this case, we give the likely mutation that's causing a specific condition for that patient. And right now we have a prototype that is delivering results. We have 5 user testers. They have a very rudimentary prototype that we give them a list of mutations that cause the disease of the patients. And we shift into an interactive software where we can increase the number of testers that we have more feedback. As I mentioned, we started the phase 1 of the company in genetic diseases, which we are expert. We've been working in this in the last years, and our first customers will be research institutes. But this is what is happening right now. Our vision for the future is actually we shift from a software to a digital platform where we can enter in different markets as hospitals, pharma companies, and agriculture. So whenever a customer they have a question, they come with the DNA data, we analyze 100% of it, and we give back actionable results. And these are our long-term strategy that we can target different companies in the next years. Right now, we have significant traction in the field of human genetics, genetic diseases. We had 4 early adopters with 33 samples of patients. They have been for decades without diagnosis. We run our prototype. We did our first proof of concept, and we had 85% success rate. And because of that, we can convince these early adopters to sign letters of intent. We had other external researchers that intend to use our software as soon as it come out the market. And we started the regulation process to have a medical device out there for the customers. There are competitors in the field. There are companies and startups. They're mostly looking for the coding part of the genome. They are very expert on this, and now they're trying to shift to the non-coding. But so far, we are the first one providing 100% of DNA analysis. On top of that, we have created this machine learning tool that outperformed the other ones out there in the market for detection of mutations. And here's the team, the founding team, Hossein and I, we're working this together as a co-founder. Hossein has the background in computational biology, and I have the background in molecular genetics and genetic. Combining together our powers, we are under supervision of Professor Stefan Mundlos. He's the director of the Institute of Human Genetics at Charité, and together with Martin Wingron, the director of Max-Planck Institute for Molecular Genetics, where we work in. So we are experts in the dark matter of the DNA. We want to bring this knowledge to the market. Our team, we have computational biologists working with us, master students and postdocs, developing the code, and we are advised by different advisors with different background. So for the demo day, we are asking for mainly 3 things. The first one, we're looking for business people, generalists to join us in the company as a co-founder. We're looking for network in the pharma industry, and also we're looking for investments. We're seeking for 1 million seed round. Most of it is for staff costs and regulations. So we are Lucid Genomics. We're lighting up the dark matter of the DNA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uriel, for your presentation. So as you just heard, like the ask is not only for money, it's sometimes only for like getting contact to industry experts or even finding co-founders like Lucid Genomics is currently looking for. So, and that's often the case with early startups before funding out of science to find like a great CEOs to join the team. Jimin already found somebody. He just stated himself as the only person not being a scientist. That's not 100% correct, but it's great to have you here. So we turn to the last team, which is Shift. It's not only like a shift in topic, a big shift in topic, but it's also the name of the startup project here. Sophie, are you here to present us as Shift?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So the stage is yours.
My name is Sophie Nakwera, and I'm a senior research fellow at the Max-Planck Institute for Social Anthropology. My research investigates how refugees experience vulnerabilities in the countries where they seek asylum and how the laws in those countries address those vulnerabilities. The startup I propose is inspired by the findings of my research in Uganda. So Shift does not just mean sustainable high impact farming technologies, but a shift in the way we deal with vulnerable populations. Uganda is a small country in East Africa, and even though it's one of the poorest countries in the world, it hosts 1.5 million refugees, making it the third largest refugee host globally, and the #1 in Africa. Refugees live in refugee settlements in rural areas, and they're expected to grow their own food, and therefore they are provided with a small piece of land and additional small aid to help them survive. The problem is that extreme current weather, particularly drought, is affecting food security and livelihood. However, this is not a problem that is restricted to refugees alone. It is a problem for all farmers in rural areas in Uganda. Uganda's economy is largely based on agriculture. 92% of the refugees live in refugee settlements in rural areas. The problem of weather and extreme drought is a national problem. So the solution I propose is not just for refugees, but also host communities in Uganda. So what is the status quo? The status quo is that the way aid solutions are being brought into Uganda is not addressing the concrete realities. This makes people dependent on insufficient aid. Particularly because of the global recession, refugees are now being given €3 a month for food. This is not enough when you consider the unpredictable weather patterns. So what is the solution? I see that the solution is not aid, but to enable people to become self-sufficient. And thus we have come up with a model which is business-based that will allow farmers to adapt and increase their livelihoods. And the way we do it, we will train them in new farming techniques that will help them become resilient to these weather patterns. We will provide them with crop varieties that are resilient to the weather. We will do this in Eastern Uganda as a starting point in one of the poorest villages in Uganda. This will enable farmers not only to become resilient, but will assure them of a market for their products. So we will train them, give them the products, then buy it from them, add value to it, and then increase income and employment along the value chain. We will start with cassava because in the area where we're starting the pilot, cassava is the major food crop. We will now turn it into a cash crop. There's a global demand for cassava because of the reduction of wheat production caused by the Ukraine war. However, even long before the Ukraine war, the demand for cassava is very, very high and is currently unmet because the country does not have enough equipment to increase production. The model, however, is not restricted to just the area where we're going to start it. It can actually be contextualized to other high-value crops in other areas. So right now, we will look at getting solar-powered irrigation systems to address the drought, provide solar dryers and storage facilities to avoid food wastage and increase value life of the products. The unique selling point of this model is that it is based on evidence. It is locally led, meaning that it understands the concrete realities that people in refugee settlement and other rural areas are going through. It also fits the economic context of the local population, meaning that we are using agriculture, which is the main economy of the country. And we are also introducing simple but appropriate technology, which will increase farming yields. It is also scalable to other areas. In fact, it has been tested in Malawi, and it's working very well in a refugee camp where refugees are working with the host community. And it has also been tested in Kenya, in the Turkana, which is one of the drought-prone areas. So these small changes will have a high impact. The model needs a one-time cash injection of less than $400,000. It will provide food security and nutrition, not only in the areas where it is introduced, but it will improve livelihoods along the cassava food chain. So the core team is equipped to drive this model because they have the expertise in water resource management. I will look at the social impact of the project, and Taibu Nakwera has 24 years experience in marketing and sales of high fast consumer goods, and in the last 10 years has been providing consultancy to smallholder farmers on behalf of the US government. We will, however, need to hire an agronomist and a climate adaptation resilience specialist to train the farmers. So we are already growing cassava on 12.5 family land, and cassava is considered now the white gold. We hope that if we get money to buy value-adding equipment and get the proof of concept, we will then replicate this in other post-refugee contexts. So if you're interested in this business model with a high social impact, I'd be happy to talk to you during the breakout sessions. Thank you for your attention.
Great.
Thank you, Sophie, for your presentation. There was the last presentation. Thank everybody who still is here. Actually, most of people are still here. The main part is coming up right now. So we are setting up the breakout rooms right now. I hope you can remember the name of the startup or pre-startup companies you want to talk to and give some feedback to. I already want to thank you in advance for your feedback and that you open your networks, probably also for the startups and the chat you're going to have with them, because there will, as I said before, there will be no official ending. The official ending is kind of right now, but now starts actually the main point of the event. You giving feedback, you jumping from room to room. Whenever you have issues not finding the right room, you can address us via chat, for example. And we'll be happy to help you to send you to the rooms you like to go to. So Andreas, if I might ask you to set up the breakout rooms right now. Andreas, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, struggling with multitasking. They are open actually right now. And I hope you can see them. Maybe someone can give me some feedback if you can see them.
I cannot find them, Andreas.
Cannot
Where
find
should
them?
I look for them?
I can't.
You cannot?
I can't.
I can't.
So Andreas, if you might end the presentation, here the
do.
presentation mode, there might be.
Yes, ended. And I'm stopping the recording.